When people talk about revenge, they imagine heat, rage, a sudden explosion of anger that burns everything in its path. What they don't often talk about is the cold kind, the kind that sits in your stomach, buried deep while you smile and nod and wait. The kind that doesn't rush because it knows time itself is the sharpest blade. That was the kind of revenge I built against my wife, Amanda. I discovered her affair by accident. It wasn't a suspicious lipstick or an out-of-place receipt. It was something so mundane it felt like a joke at first. I had taken her car in for an oil change and found her old phone in the glove compartment. She had upgraded months ago, so I thought nothing of it, until I noticed it still powered on. Curiosity, or maybe fate, led me to scroll through the texts. At first, it was just harmless banter with friends, old work messages. Then I saw the thread labeled Daniel. My gut clenched before I even opened it. What I found inside stopped my heart. The messages spanned months. They weren't flirty misunderstandings. They were explicit, intimate, filled with details about meetings in hotels, excuses about me, and promises to see each other again. One line burned itself into my brain. He has no idea. He's too trusting. I sat there in the driver's seat, staring at the words on a cracked old screen, feeling my marriage collapse in silence around me. The Amanda I thought I knew, the woman I married 10 years ago, the woman I built a home with, was someone else entirely. That night, I went home, kissed her cheek, asked her about her day, and never let on that I knew. My rage was ice, not fire. And in that ice, a thought took root. She thought I was too trusting. She thought I'd never find out. She thought she'd never pay. That's when the plan began. I didn't confront her. I didn't storm out. I didn't shout or cry or beg for answers. Instead, I started taking notes. Dates, times, excuses she gave me, trips she claimed to take. I started syncing her new phone to my laptop, backing up her messages and photos. Amanda never noticed. She thought she was clever. I was careful to make her believe that. For 2 years, I watched. 2 years of her coming home late, smelling of perfume that wasn't hers. 2 years of her claiming to work weekends while I knew she was across town with Daniel. 2 years of me perfecting patience. I upgraded my career in that time, working my way into a position of financial strength. Amanda thought we were both just grinding through for our future. The truth was, I was preparing for a future without her. I invested quietly, saved aggressively, and separated finances in ways she didn't notice. And I documented. My God, did I document. I had every message, every photo, every receipt. I had her lies cataloged like an accountant balancing a ledger. And each piece of evidence was another brick in the wall I was building around her. Friends asked why I seemed distant from Amanda. Family noticed we weren't as affectionate. I brushed it off, saying we were just busy. Inside, I was steel. I wanted to strike when it would hurt most, when she thought she had it all. The moment came on our 15th wedding anniversary. Amanda had been gushing for weeks about renewing our vows. She wanted a big party, all our friends and family gathered, a chance to celebrate how strong we were. The irony almost choked me, but I smiled and said yes. She spent months planning the event, choosing the venue, the flowers, the dress. She believed she was walking into a fairy tale. I knew she was walking into an execution. On the day of the ceremony, the venue was packed. Friends, family, co-workers, all of them dressed and waiting to watch us pledge ourselves again. Amanda looked radiant in her dress, glowing with the confidence of a woman who thought she was adored and untouchable. She stood across from me, smiling, eyes shining as she held my hands. The officiant began the ceremony. We repeated lines about love, loyalty, trust. When it was my turn to speak, I took a deep breath, looked at Amanda, and let the mask drop. I can't renew these vows, I said, my voice steady. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Amanda blinked, her smile faltering. Because vows only mean something if they're honored. And Amanda hasn't honored them in years. Gasps, whispers. Her eyes widened, panic dawning. She shook her head slightly, mouthing, "Don't," but I did. I pulled a small remote from my pocket and pressed a button. Behind me, the screen meant for a slideshow of our life together flickered to life. Instead of childhood photos and wedding pictures, it displayed the evidence I had collected. Text messages, emails, photos of her with Daniel in hotel lobbies, time-stamped logs of her lies. The crowd erupted. Gasps, shouts, chairs scraping. Amanda's face drained of color as her secrets played out before everyone she cared about. Her parents sat frozen, her sister covered her mouth, and friends looked between us in horror. Amanda dropped my hands. "Please," she whispered, tears welling. "Not here. Not like this. Exactly here," I replied. "Exactly like this. You built your life on lies. Now everyone sees the truth." The officiant stumbled, unsure whether to continue. The crowd didn't need more. The damage was done. I walked off the stage, leaving Amanda standing alone in her white dress, surrounded by the wreckage of her own making. The fallout was nuclear. Amanda's family turned on her, furious at the deception. Friends distanced themselves. Daniel vanished, unwilling to deal with the exposure. Within a week, I filed for divorce. With the mountain of evidence, the court sided heavily in my favor. I kept the house, the savings, most of our assets. Amanda walked away with almost nothing. In the months that followed, she tried to contact me. Angry calls, sobbing voicemails, desperate texts. I ignored them all. I had already given her the only reply she would ever get, the truth, displayed for everyone she loved. People often ask if I regretted waiting so long. If the years of silence, of playing dumb, were worth it. I tell them yes, because revenge isn't about yelling or throwing things in the heat of the moment. It's about patience. It's about making sure the punishment fits the crime. Amanda didn't just cheat. She lied, manipulated, and thought she could live 2 lives without consequence. My revenge made sure there was nowhere for her to hide. And when I look back on that anniversary day, the image of her crumbling in front of everyone, the mask ripped away, I don't feel guilt. I feel closure. Because in the end, the years I spent planning weren't wasted. They were invested, and the return was the sweetest justice I could imagine.